Today is part 2 of our 6-part series. We're going through my 6 pillars to thrive. Hi, I'm Brooke Lyons. A few years ago, I lost 50 pounds and finally got my life back. I've uncovered the tools that allowed me to keep the weight off and help hundreds of my clients also lead a healthy and vibrant life. Losing weight is only the beginning, and being happy and healthy is so much more than just a number on the scale. So join me as we discover how to thrive beyond weight loss. Welcome back. We're so glad you're here. I'm Brooke.
I'm Victoria.
And today we're going to go through the second pillar of 6, which is uniqueness. Uniqueness.
Uniqueness.
Geez, there's 6. I got confused. This is one of the pillars. You know, when I wrote these pillars, I was looking at the wellness wheel that a lot of physicians use because it kind of looks at things like finances and religion and relationships and stuff like that, exercise. But it wasn't speaking to the qualities of who I wanted to be in my life, like the richness and the fullness that I was desiring. Yeah. And so the uniqueness pillar, I kind of pulled together with the pillar that talks about like how we cope with things, like the foundation of what we do when we cope with stuff. And I think food has a lot to do with that, right? Because there's so much to that. Like it has to do with our soul. It's deep. Yeah. What do you think of when you hear uniqueness?
I think of the fact that everyone wants to feel like they're unique and say that they're unique when there is because of how many people there are in the world, there's most likely someone who's like you, but that doesn't mean that you are not unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can be the exact same as somebody else, but unique, like twins.
Yeah.
Like they look exactly the same. They ate the same. They live the same parents, but they're so different usually in some kind of ways anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always love when twins can do that. Like they know what they're saying. The other one's saying.
I don't believe
that's
it.
Cool. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you watched videos on this? Conspiracy theories and stuff?
No, not conspiracy theories on this, but that's a totally different episode.
Ah, it is a totally different. Maybe it's not an episode at all. But our state of mind. So uniqueness. Just I want to embrace the fact that your life, even if you're a twin, your life is a little bit different than that other person's life, right? So it's like all these little details. But there are so many things that, like uniqueness was the right word for me because there were so many things. Like I was a geek in high school. Like when I was in grade school, I didn't have any friends. Like I didn't have that life. But there was one boy in middle school that liked me and he was really popular. Darcy Downs. Shout out to Darcy Downs, Olympic trainer now, pretty awesome guy.
Look at you go.
Yeah, but in 7th grade, he had a crush on me and it changed my whole life. Just one person being nice to me changed how I felt about myself, and so it changed how everybody reacted to me.
Well, it just takes one interaction to affect someone's life or affect someone's day in a good way or a bad way.
Well, and I never knew that I was okay the way I was, but Darcy said I was, and I believed him. And probably other people, I'm sure my parents would have said stuff like that, but I never.
But it feels like when it's your parents, like when, like I said in the last episode, I grew up like performing, and when your parents tell you you're good, you're like, you have to tell me that. Like I would be a little upset if you told me I wasn't good.
Right.
So,
but you really were, so it was easy.
It means a lot more when it comes from other people.
Yeah. I wish we didn't need that external validation so much, right? Like it's just a human condition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so not being popular, not having a lot of friends when I was young, actually it was another episode of God's conspiring in my favor because there was a gentleman, he was the custodian at the FAR, was the elementary. I went to a French immersion school in Canada, and Mr. Becker was the janitor. And this one's definitely making me cry because I was so teased in the playground that to get away from them, I would go into the school, but every teacher would not understand. And you know, some people are like, "Oh, you're young, you'll figure it out." I did, but they would throw me back onto the place where all the bullies were and where they were, you know, ignoring me or teasing me.
Crying.
Sorry, but Mr. Becker, the custodian. Whenever he saw me, he would say, "Hey, could you like go dump this garbage into that big thing?" And he'd give me jobs to do, which I think is why acts of service is why it's one of my love languages. You know, you start a podcast, you're going to cry in public.
At least once.
An episode. But But this is the tender stuff that made me unique. Because that sweet man, and I went back to thank him many years later, and do you know he died a year before I got there? But I did reach out to his family. And I think, I hope he knew how special he was. I think he was just always so calm and happy.
Yeah.
Like he just, in the judgment that we place on others, I want you to think about where you're judging others. Because I think sometimes when we think of a custodian, we think of somebody who's not capable of doing anything better. Well, that man was a therapist, a life changer. Do you know I wish I could remember this. I wish I thought about this before. He used to say something to me, and I can see it walking in this, like at school so that you can huddle, and it's not always cold by the door.
Yeah.
They've got those like little vestibules kind of.
Yeah.
He would say something to me, and I'm going to pull that out for another episode. I know I wrote about it.
Well,
something special, like you're like, look who it is, like the very special.
Yeah.
He'd say something like that.
And something that, like when I was in high school, your parents tell you stories all the time, and you kind of think about them, and then you don't really understand how they're feeling about that because then in high school I had that janitor who,
yes, you did.
janitor, this man, Jason Shelley, and he bought a $300 leprechaun suit. That he had pins from every club, showed up to show choir competitions, showed up to basketball games. I don't think a janitor or custodian has ever been that dedicated to helping the kids at his school.
What a man.
But there was one night when my choir teacher, when I was a freshman in college, passed away. My choir teacher from college. And I just needed a second at the choir doors. I just needed a second to kind of accept the fact that she was 40. And he came out with 3 different canned drinks. And he was like, you look like you've been crying. You look like you need a drink. Here's a hug. Here's a drink. Stay as long as you want. He's like, I'll check on you when I'm done locking up the building. But like, I understand that you just need a second. So I'm glad that we got to connect with those people that way. But then it was also a way for us to connect.
Yeah.
Because both of them had that.
And I remember encouraging you to like, how could you thank him for that? What could you do? And I know you came up with, she did extravagant things. Like she drew some things for him and made some cards. And, we're all alone in this world. It's just the connections, which we'll talk about in another episode.
Yeah.
They really matter. But the uniqueness of you, this is what I wanted to say, is that a lot of the times the things that I was teased about or I felt like were terrible things about me were actually like some of the most beautiful things. Like I go to a party and I can't stand being around a lot of people like that, but I'll find one person.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking, I'm only talking to you.
Yeah.
I sometimes don't even hear what's going on, but I'm just right there. I thought that was bad because there were so many extroverts who, you should be talking to everybody. Well, guess what? I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
That's not how I operate.
And I feel like that really helps you now, especially with your business, because when that person is in that room with you, they really feel like they are in that room with you.
Because they are.
Well, and they are, and your attention is only on them. You're not really thinking about side things or when you go in that room.
Yeah.
When COVID was all a thing, I was at home with her, and she was recording videos, and I can't remember what for, but I used to giggle because I would hear her go,
oh.
And then she'd go into her videos, and I feel like that's what she does when she goes in to talk to clients, because she's in the zone. And if she's not, like, I don't understand it sometimes, but...
Yeah. That's a Tony Robbins thing. I found Tony Robbins when I was 19. I'm 55, so he was brand new. I don't know how I was so blessed because he was new, but I needed that to get out of the habits and the stinking thinking that I had decided were true about me. And I got to do that when I was 19. So you can imagine how much that changed my life.
Yeah.
But one of the things he says, it's a power thing. It's a power stance that you find your thing. Some people put their arms up, but mine is, and he teaches you to make that, see, like it even just calms me down. It gets you into your space of like, I got this.
Yeah.
And men, women, we all do it. And so, along the way, this is why I love recording stuff. It's why I want you to download that 6 Pillars. It's free. Because I love looking back on this stuff. Like I journaled a lot. The book that I wrote was I could do that because my friend was dying of cancer and he did pass. Although they got 2 years from him, like more life out from him, when he was told you just have a couple of months to live. But I ended up writing a book for him because of this uniqueness. Like he's going to be gone. She was 13, and I kept thinking like, who's going to tell her about married sex? Like, is it what's normal or what you know what I mean? All the things like if you have a bad boss, like what do you do? But I also knew because you guys were going through this phase where you didn't want to know what I had to say about that, but you want to know my experience. You never didn't want to connect. You just didn't want to be told what to do all the time, right?
I still feel that way.
We all feel that way, right? But that doesn't mean we don't need the input of the people. But he was about to go and not be able to be asked. I found a lady who had lost her father when she was 7, and she wrote to Dear Dad in her journals. And like when she went to middle school, she wrote, and I posted some of these in the book, because they're tender moments between her and her dad that he was passed for. And so she went to middle school and didn't know, her mom and her couldn't figure out the locks. And she's like, Dad, if you had been there, you would have helped us and blah, blah, blah. And so, but it's funny the stories that we tell ourselves, because I'm the only one who could open the lock on our locker.
Yeah.
But I'm a woman. So you know what I mean? Like, but we have these stories that we tell ourselves. So I want you to start digging some of those up.
Yeah.
If you pass judgment on someone today, like, oh, they shouldn't be blah, 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 woulda, shoulda, coulda. If you say those 3 words or have those thoughts, that's your judgment. You're judging something.
Well, and even the book you wrote, The Envelope System, my dad, when like a couple years wrote me a bunch of these letters, and I have a box I know from my mom for these letters that I don't, like, they're at your house still.
Yeah.
But they're for later in life, and I forgot that Dad had written me a bunch of them, and I was going through, last night I was going through, like, I have all my insurance things, all my, like, investments, all of that in a whole labeled folder. I did have to be forced to do that at one point, but then I kept up with it. It's okay. But I found these, and I was like, I forgot that there was a couple that I was like, oh, I was going to open those later, and I never got to it. And opening that, and just, like, it was so sweet. So even, like, those things that I didn't want to hear at the time, he took the time to write them down.
Yeah.
And so that was really sweet.
That was my most important thing, because, you know, when we're dying, we think, oh, our kids will be fine, and they will.
Yeah.
But they'll also miss you on those most important moments. Like, for you, I had taken pictures of, like, a nursing mom, and I was like, because I don't want to tell her what to do. And if she can't breastfeed, I don't want her to be like, oh, my dying mom, she always wanted me to nurse.
Yeah.
Like, no, your dying mom wanted you to be happy and do the best you can with whatever you got in front of you.
Yeah.
And so I had said just the blessing of what it was like to look down on you, and, like, I couldn't believe that I had created this thing in my body. Baby. And oh, she was a model too. She was big, fatty face and big blue eyes. She's so cute. But anyways, but yeah, it's a real connection point that we can write this simple letter. You don't even have to be a writer or anything. But for him, I've been writing to you is the reason I started talking about this. I've been writing to you guys about who I am, like, because I thought I was going to die a couple times. We'll talk about those things later, but a couple of times I thought I was going to die, and so I wanted to prepare you guys, like this is what I thought about this, and this is how I feel about your dad, and sometimes I hate him too, like all the realities, so that you could go through your life knowing, okay, so I love this person, but sometimes I just don't like them anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't mean throw it all out, just means, like, sometimes he doesn't like you either, right? And so just maneuver through these things, but it was so important to me that you guys also knew, because I don't have a great memory for this. I have some trauma in the past that my memory doesn't always work that great. And so I knew I could not necessarily remember it. But when you have a baby, every day you think is the best day ever, and then you get the next day and you're like, oh my gosh, and now they can do this. Like, when you started smiling, you were shaking. I used to put quarters in one of those old 35 milliliter phone book, film containers. And I gave it to you. We were going to some fancy place, I can't remember. I gave them to you, and you started shaking them, and you started laughing. And I'm like, oh, nothing else mattered. Like, because this little thingy that you smiled all the time. But this was like a those belly laughs. Gosh, if you have a bad day, go to the card store and read the funny cards, but also listen to babies on videos. It's my favorite. Oh my gosh, I love it. So going back to uniqueness, well, you know what? I think the question you pulled out is probably a really great place to go now.
So I feel like we're going to want to talk about it for a second. Yeah. So our question today from the mailbag comes from Emma, and she says, why do I want to eat when I'm stressed?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Talk about a loaded question. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But in my program, we always offer the physical things, because you're going to change what you're eating. We're not eating donuts every day or drinking, a lot of alcohol and losing weight. Our body just can't do that much sugar, can't process that and lose fat. Plus all the toxicity in those things, your body's going to want to keep fat and water so that it can protect you from the poison you just ate. No judgment. And you know what I just thought about too? When I said woulda, coulda, shoulda, when you're doing that, you're probably judging. I didn't say probably. I said you are. And so always changing my vocabulary to get better at helping you see that, like, we're always on this journey.
Yeah.
But back to this question. So the physical things, we're going to have to change some things, but there's also like the physiology of it, like how your body works. Legit, if you eat a donut, it's probably made with lots of things that your body doesn't want to eat. A lot of like fake bad oils and stuff and preservatives and all kinds of things that don't need to be in your food or your supplements, but they put them in anyway.
Yeah.
Some of them are grown off mold, for crying out loud. Like, why do we need that in our food? I don't know.
Isn't blue cheese have mold in it?
Yes, but that's different.
Okay.
Probably another show.
Okay, sorry.
But some people will stay away from that because they've got mold issues,
Yeah.
right? So, and they'll stay away from mushrooms, all the things. But typically our bodies should be able to deal with some of this stuff. But anyways, that's a whole,
Sorry.
that is a whole program.
Sorry.
No, my brain is like now exploding. But so back to the,
Well, because sometimes I find out that if there's ever points where I'm like stressed or maybe even a little anxious, there's my brain just wants no food.
no food.
No food,
Yep.
or like there's one food and it's usually not a healthy food.
Right.
Or like I know no matter what, and it doesn't have a lot of like, it's like strawberries, but I have to cut them up in little tiny slivers.
You gotta weigh?
Because then it's like, I don't know, it occupies me, but that's something like no food, or it's like an unhealthy option that I
Do you
really
eat
want.
all the pieces at the same time?
No.
Or do you eat one piece? Oh, see, I like that.
I eat one little
That's
sliver.
brilliant because that gets you the sugar that you want
Yeah.
and need, but like one at a time, like
Yeah.
one strawberry could probably last you 4 bites at least.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that. So we were talking about physiology. The physiology of the body just is what it is. But if we don't know what it is, like I often say to people, like if you have a job or you're retired, you trained somebody to do whatever you did last, right? We know how to do this. We know where the files are. We know how everything works. But who taught you how this thing works? Nobody.
Well, I grew up luckier than some people because I had you and Dad.
Yep. A friend of mine at school, becoming a doctor, her kids were 4 and 5, I think. So she taught them the whole elementary tract. So that's what I did to them. So you guys were so cute. You'd be like, first it comes into the mouth and then it goes through my esophagus. But you loved it because the end was poop.
Oh. I was a kid.
And then it's poop. So yeah, we all screw up our kids in some ways, but that was cute. So anyways, but back to the physiology, there's just going to be some physiology we got to deal with. So I don't know if this person is, like if you eat sugar all day long, like an alcoholic, okay, they crave that alcohol. Sometimes it's the sugar that they crave, not even the alcohol. So sometimes it's both because the alcohol breaks in and the sugar, like there's whole things
Yeah.
with the sugary things that we do. So it could be your physiology just begging for it. Like our guts are really important to have them healthy. But
Yeah.
if it's all out of balance, it's craving sugar.
Well, and I know some people who they like stress is their comfort foods. So they're like foods that maybe you grew up, because growing up, I had friends who their parents told them if they didn't eat their vegetables at dinner, they'd be sent to my house. So I didn't have the problem that not eating vegetables that some people did growing up. They didn't want to eat
And
their
the kids
vegetables.
didn't complain. They just ate
Yeah.
the stuff. Like,
But-
it was never a big deal at our house.
Like comfort foods, when I think of comfort, I think like mashed potatoes, green bean casserole.
Do
like
you really, though? Do you
that's
think about
well, when I think of like comfort foods, if someone's like, "What's a comfort food?" I'd be like mashed potatoes.
But for you and your body, when you like, if you're like,
No, I
comfort
think of
food-
those cut up strawberries.
Do you, or do you
Yeah.
think pancakes?
No,
Or waffles?
Like maybe a waffle, but
Because
like
back in high school, it might have been because you like when you were stressed out, the waffles came out. You were like,
Really?
Can I make waffles? Mm-hmm. That's why I remember you bought that. She had like 3 different things she could make waffles in.
what can I say?
Yeah.
I go above and beyond.
Interesting. But so here's the fun thing. Like I'm just challenging her because she's my daughter, right? So I can ask you
Yeah.
questions. But sometimes we're told what comfort foods are. But I love that strawberries too.
Yeah.
But strawberries have a lot of sugar in them. So I love fruit, but
Yeah.
we got to watch those things, especially if they go in by themselves. So then there's we did the physical things are going to change. The physiology, if we don't know how the physiology works, we're going to do things that are healthy, that are going to mess up your physiology, and you're not going to lose your weight or keep it off. And then there's the psychology. So it could also be her psychology. Because when we talk about uniqueness, I had a lady who lost like a lot of weight in her first month, a lot of weight in her second month. In her third month, she lost 7 pounds, and she'd already lost 50 pounds by this time. And so, but she was coming at me. She was mad. And my job is to just, what's going on? Like, tell me more, tell me more.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm listening for what did I do wrong, right? Because I'm not perfect. And we've had once when we didn't send out the emails. And so, well, actually, we've had it twice now. Every time I get a new staff member, like, it's just something that's hard to do. So sometimes it falls behind the lines. And so anyways, that actually happened. So I'm listening to how did we not do what we say we're going to do? But nothing was coming out, and I was trying to get it out of her. And so finally, I'm like, because I can't figure out why she's not losing as much weight as we thought she would lose in her 3rd month. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I think maybe it's just your physiology. You've lost 50 pounds in 3 months. The healthy way, with fruit, vegetable, meat, and healthy fat. You've been eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't know. Keep going.
Yeah.
Because you've heard me say this before. If you found out tomorrow that you had a cavity, would you stop brushing your teeth?
No.
Like, people literally laugh at me when I say that, because of course I wouldn't. I keep brushing my teeth so I don't get more. We don't think about that with the health of our body.
No.
You would never drive without gas and oil and windshield wiper.
Not knowingly.
Right? Or your engine's going to blow up,
Yeah.
or your car's going to die. But this is our car. This is our vehicle that we walk our whole life through, and it's the reason we're going to die. It's how we live, with vibrancy or not. So when you think of uniqueness, when we have some psychology, you know what it turns out being? When she was a kid, she had a rough upbringing. And so instead of saying sorry or stopping the behavior, her parents would bring her cookies at night to say, everything's okay, here's a cookie. And so it was 27 minutes in, I finally said, can you just walk through what you do? Like, what time you wake up, when you're eating, what you're eating, like, let's walk through. So we went through the whole thing, finally get it into evening, and I said, okay, where are your supplements, blah, blah, blah. She goes, okay, so I eat I fill out my paperwork, I eat my cookie, and I go to bed. And I'm like, sure you do. She's like, and she realized what she said.
Yeah.
And I thought she was joking.
Yeah.
And then she told me the story. Well, it took a few minutes for her to stop crying.
Yeah.
And then she started telling me the story. So there's a lot of emotional stuff in all of this. But like I said, do the 6 pillars. Because if you don't know what your unique stuff is, it's impossible nobody's coming at it for you. Like, sometimes we have so many problems that our family would be like, oh, see somebody about that? Well, yeah, I can see you're struggling. But what if we could just have the autonomy to go, you know what? I'm an imperfect human, but I want to figure out some stuff about myself. Download the 6 pillars. Fill them out. Write what you're doing really well at. Write what your challenges are, what you want to get better at. Rate yourself 1 to 10. It's so simple, but it just has to be done. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for joining us. This is always a spirited conversation. I love that we can do this together. I hope you enjoyed some of the topics, and let us know if you have any questions, because we would love to put your question in our mailbag.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on the Thrive Beyond Weight Loss podcast belong solely to the host and guest speakers and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any associated organizations or health professionals. The content provided is for informational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider with any questions regarding a medical condition or health objectives.